So you guys are gonna need some type of board to work on. Honestly, I'm really happy right now, like zero sarcasm, that you guys didn't bring your boards in for the most part, because now there's a lot of boards at home. But you're gonna wanna have something to work on, a small space like this cleared. I'm working like on one of the tables in class, just on like a small area of it. Like this isn't the whole table, so it's a little area. You're gonna wanna have your template made so that I could see the shape that you wanna create. And then you're gonna wanna have your clay, your tools, everything like that. And I'm gonna kind of go over it in order of how we're gonna start tomorrow so you'll know what you're gonna need. I decided that this was gonna be my vase shape here. This is half of it, obviously. I then took it and I lined it up to a paper that was a little bit more sturdy, because I just felt like my first one, just being on computer paper, was not cutting it. So if you have like a thicker magazine paper or even a piece of cardboard, feel free to just take your, positive or negative space piece and then just cut it out on something that is a little bit sturdier. It's not just gonna kind of flail around like paper. The next thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna go in and you want to just square this off. So I don't wanna have this little tip here, just like about there. You could even bring it way up to here if you want to. It's not gonna be that big of a deal, but you don't want like that really sharp point that's gonna interfere with the base of what we're working with. So yesterday I went ahead and I crumbled up a bunch of clay and I let it dry out. So why do you guys think I let this dry out? Anyone? Honestly, it almost feels like baby powder, like the consistency of the porcelain when it dries out. It's to make slip. So the reason that you guys want to use the dried out clay to make slip is because it's thirsty. It wants some water in it. I'm just gonna put this in a little cup of water here. I already made some previously. You can honestly, like at the studio, once we run out of like the nice little cups and stuff we bought, we just use like a rinsed out like Greek yogurt container or something like that. So you could totally use something like that to make your slip in. So you're gonna wanna have your slip. I have it in here. If you guys wanna prepare it ahead of time, you can. You want it to kind of be like a thick, yogurt-like consistency in a yogurt container, but that's what you want it to look like. And with your porcelain, you're gonna notice that it's very, very different than other clays we've worked with. So when you're not working with it, you're going to want to make sure that you kind of close the bag up really well and keep it closed. One of my students in my first block, when we were actually hybrid instruction, she was keeping like a small piece of paper towel in with her clay and then sealing her bag up, and that worked really well for her, and I was like, okay. All right, I like that idea. With the porcelain, you guys are gonna notice it seems really dry, but once you start smoothing it, it's gonna be really easy to smooth. It has a very different texture to it, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit more tomorrow once you guys all have yours. So pretty much we're gonna make a pancake. And do a little scavenger hunt around your house, and we're gonna find something circular, but I'm just gonna use like the base of one of these cups if that kind of gives you guys an idea. So go in, get this really nice and smooth. Try to get it as flat and as even as you can. And honestly, I know that this looks like I could just roll it out with a rolling pin. I can if you guys do have like a little rolling pin or something at home, or if you want to use like a little, you know, I don't know, like roll of paper towels or something, if you have anything elongated like that. I'm just gonna use the bottom of one of these cups to create the base. Now, I know that you guys all got these cups in the beginning, so you'll know approximately where I'm going and what size. Also, in you know, sizing of my hands and the tools that I'm working with. So I'm gonna use this wooden knife tool, and I'm just gonna trace around it and then move that. Now, I'm gonna cut it out. You wanna be really delicate when you cut it out. You wanna try to get a nice, even base. Sometimes I'll even take a little bit off, you know, first, and then continue to cut the rest out. And you want to make sure to cut straight up and down. You don't want to cut on a diagonal. You just want to cut straight up and down. And I may be doing this a little bit humbly, but I am going to work with what you guys have at home, because pandemic ceramics, people, and I don't want to use anything, you know, totally fancy that you might not have to work with. So I'm going to work with what you guys have to make it all nice. Now, once you have your circle, you want to go around and you want to smooth it really, really, really well. You want to make sure that your bottom edges are really nice, that everything's smooth, really, really pretty. And you'll notice once you get to this stage that this moves around really easily. You know how normal clay would usually stick? This does not stick. What you're gonna wanna do is, so while you're working on this project, you're actually going to want to stick it onto your board, or else we're gonna run into a bit of a problem. Porcelain dries out pretty quickly, and it gets hard kind of fast, so it's not like gonna have that really gooey, you know, gooey texture of normal clay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put a few little score marks on the bottom, and I'm just gonna take a little slip, just a little bit, in the area where I wanna put this, and I'm gonna stick it down. And just apply a little bit of pressure. And we just wanna form like a nice little suction. So you could tell just how little it is, you know, in comparison to maybe that tool, if that helps. This is the base we're gonna start out with. Remember, this is our little mini series of projects, but I wanna make them like really nice and really special for you guys to have a bunch of things to take home. So with porcelain, another thing, like I said, it dries out real easily. Make sure that you're not just leaving your bag wide open, or that you're taking all of it out and leaving it on your table. Take a little bit out at a time as you need it, and give yourself some space to roll out some coils. You want to compress it really, really well between your hands. And then as you roll it out, it's almost gonna start to feel like a pretzel dough or like a cookie dough. It's gonna be a bit strange. I'm gonna break that piece off. Now I just slid around this porcelain kind of like a hockey puck. Do you think that it's gonna attach easily together? No, that's correct. So what do you think is really important that we do in order to connect our pot without, just smoothing it? Slip and score. All right, people. Thank you, Andrew. If we don't slip and score porcelain, it's gonna separate. It's a different type of clay. It's a very nice clay. We're gonna have fun. I feel like I'm scaring you, but make sure you slip and score or you'll get little cracks like that. So just slip and score, we'll be good. And that's why we need cameras on, so I can help you guys, we can work together. We do not have our pin tools, but we do have these little guys here. So just go in around the edges, make some little marks. Do the same thing on our coil. And remember, by slipping and scoring, it's gonna create a really nice bond. The slip is going to soak up into those little marks we made. And it's going to attach it first without even smoothing it. And then smoothing it will be, our second step. So now this is where our template comes into place. This is the one I just cut out. So this is how my vase is going to look in the end. This is my ideal, what I want it to be as it goes around. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna rest this first coil on. And yes, it is cracking a little bit. That's okay, don't be scared. Trust me. And I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it off there. And I wanna go in and I wanna align my template up. I could actually take a little bit more off. I want to line my template up with my coils. Now, your first coils, you're not going to see that much change, but this one, you could see now it lines up. I'm going to go in all the directions and kind of like move it a little bit, squish it in if it's not in the right place. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to smooth the inside. Remember to hold your hand on the outside like that and smooth inward. And I like to smooth inside first when working with porcelain because I still will have, when working with a template, not when working with porcelain, because then you're able to kind of like push out or, push in a little bit, and the outside can be adjusted much easier than the inside. So I'm gonna smooth that down, and it's okay if it's cracking a little bit, it's okay. You'll notice like the more you work with it, the more movable it will be. So I could even just go over and press nice and lightly with it. Now, just like with the other projects, if you notice you have like a little gap, you could add a little bit of extra clay in, smooth it over the top, and fill that in. Now I don't want to smooth anything in until I do my second coil, but I'm just going to go in and I'm going to kind of line this up and make sure it's all approximately even. That needs to be pushed out a little bit where I want it to be. Any of these little pieces here that are cracking, take a little bit of slip on there, and then just kind of blend it in with your finger. So you don't want your project to become like super wet or anything. We just want to smooth in any of those cracks. So do create yourself a nice little bit of slip. If you didn't get your clay yet, or even if you did and you did not make a little thing of slip, make sure that you have that ready and on hand. I just fill that in. All right, step 2, make another coil. And I'm gonna show you guys a really cool way of smoothing these out really, really well at the end. But first we're gonna smooth them coil by coil. Roll out my little piece. Remember, you don't need a ton of clay because they're just little coils. Same thing. And if you guys don't want to use this, if you have like a little, stick or something like that, you could even like go in and just make like little dot marks. Anything that the slip is going to sink into is good. Like a really sharp pencil could work, a paper clip. All right, use my brush. I'm gonna put my slip on. And this is what we're gonna be doing tomorrow. So step 1 is, this is tomorrow's thing. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rest it on top again, but I wanna be mindful of my template. So I'm gonna hold this up, and it'll make a little bit more sense too as you guys are working with them. You wanna hold it up so that it really matches right lined up. That looks good. This is gonna help you guys make a nice even piece. We're kind of modifying from when we were gonna use these as rib tools. But, we're working with what we got, guys. I cut that little part off. So let's see how that looks all around. And like I said, you're not gonna see too much of a change until you start getting to the shape part of it. But just kind of, spin it around, and if you need to like push it in or anything, go ahead and do that. If you want to, you can slip and score these little ends together. That may be a good recommendation. And then just cover them with a little bit of clay. All right, same thing, and I'm just gonna smooth the center out real quick because I want to get to the outside part and then give you guys a little bit of time if you can go pick up clay now. I'd rather have you go do that, and I will upload this, and I'll upload the one from block 1 as well, although I kind of did the same thing. This was much fresher porcelain. The first one was from like that little pancake piece I made, so maybe learn from that. Maybe you don't use your piece from where you cut your base out. I normally would do that, but I'm trying to make things easier. Didn't work out. Oh well. Once again, we're gonna line this up and just kind of have like this nice template. Once we have 2 coils, we're gonna go in and we're gonna smooth the outside. Now, if you could, get your hand in there to smooth it, wonderful. If you can't, you can use your little rib tool. You can go from the bottom and work your way up. I don't find that always works the best for me. I like to use this little guy here and kind of push up and keeping my hand really, really steady. Let me see if you guys could maybe see a little bit better here. Okay, 'cause I don't want to get too close. Okay, so I'm just gonna push it up. 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 Okay, so I'm just gonna actually I don't know if that's gonna work. I'm gonna have it in the video. I'm kind of taking the clay from the bottom here and I'm pushing it up, but holding this in the same spot so it's not gonna change the shape. Because I already measured my shape. And I really like this tool because you kind of like fit your finger right in this nice section here. And then after you do that, kind of go in and smooth across. I'm not using a ton of pressure, just being like delicate with it, enough to smooth out any cracks and to smooth the coils together. If you do happen to need a little piece of extra clay, that's okay. You could add it in. And take your time. Like I said, this is step one. We're gonna be probably working on building these together for about a week, and then we'll work on using the blue underglaze, which I actually, hopefully it should be here today. It says UPS after I called and, you know, said, what's up? All right. Go in, smooth it with your fingers, and then we're gonna take the knife tool, and you're gonna see the bottom here kind of looks icky. Don't look that pretty. You're just gonna go in and take this and just trim it. And that's just gonna clean it up for you a little bit so it looks a lot nicer when you're working with it, okay? You guys are gonna wanna make sure that you close up your porcelain really, really well. If you wanna put some wet paper towel in there, you can. Make sure you put damp paper towels on here. Don't let it dry up. Damp paper towels, and then a bag. The bags we were using in class were literally just like little trash bags. You guys can use like a ShopRite bag, something like that to cover your projects. We won't get much larger than that in size, so you could definitely use that to cover your project. If you can't get it around your whole board, just make sure that it's really like snug to the bottom of your project. So that's all I have. This is where I'm hoping we get to tomorrow, and then I'll do another demo on Thursday on like step 2. All right, you guys are good to go. Go off and get your clay so you have a little extra time now, and I will see you tomorrow.